Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Think Your Way to an Epic Life. And my next guest, Alison Mullins, has had a very unique life. She started off in sales at a really young age, and she's in the construction business, which is kind of unusual to for someone like her. And she's traveled all over the world. Really interesting, fun, and she's got a lot of great advice for us. Hope you enjoy. Alison, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Kara, for having me.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I think our energy is going to shine through in this podcast, and we're going to be able to hopefully help a whole lot of people.
I hope
That's more or less
so.
the plan. So, if you can just kind of start off and give us a little bit of background from your life, getting us to the point where you're at right now.
Well, sure. So I'm a specialist in the construction materials industry. And if you go a little more detailed into that, I happen to be an expert in natural stone surfaces and engineered surfaces for building, also kitchens and bathrooms and remodeling and contracting. And, that's kind of where I hail from. I also happened to have spent some time in sourcing and apparel, and I've been in sales, like basically in a sales role my entire life, starting at 16 years old. So I'm your sales and marketing guru today.
Right on, right on. Now, it sounds to me like just from that description that you were probably pretty frequently the only woman in the room.
Very often, I can be the only woman in the room. I mean, there are a lot of us in this industry in supporting roles. I would say that if I'm in a um, owner situation where I am talking to the owners of businesses, I am very often the only woman in the room. But that's changed a lot in the last 3 years, Kara. And I got to tell you that I align myself with a lot of women owned businesses. And I'm happy to say that a lot of the organizations that I belong to are women organizations. And for that, I think there's been such a shift in the last 4 years because I'm around a lot more women than I am men.
That's really cool to see. I did facilitated a panel yesterday at the Albuquerque Association of Realtors board, and there was probably 130 people in there, and there were might have been five men.
Wow.
It was a woman's empowerment thing, so I do understand why it was
Yeah.
so, but it was really interesting to hear from these powerful women who had come up and were the only woman in the room very quite frequently. So what are some tips that you have for women who are out there that are doing it? I mean, they're out there and they're doing it, and how do they handle that?
Oh my gosh. Tips. I haven't even thought about this to prepare, but I would say that, my biggest thing is stick to your guns. Stick to what you know. Own your expertise. For me, I didn't get where I am today, and I'm not even that far. So, but what weight I do hold in conversations comes from lots and lots of experience. And I know that when I get into a conversation, if I don't know the answer to something, I'm usually going to be quiet. I'm going to be listening. But if I am the expert on the topic, I'm going to let my voice be heard. And I want to make sure that my voice is heard. I think I wrote books to be heard. I mean, that is something that has come about for me in the last few years. And I think owning that passion, just showing the love for what it is that you do and what you claim and what you are and how you help people, just doing that, everybody will see who you really are.
That absolutely mirrors some of the things that I heard yesterday is have a voice, know what you want to say, just be there and do it. So that's beautiful. Um, you're a coach now, so tell us a little bit more about that.
I'm a lot of things. I have a small coaching business, so I really can only even handle maximum 8 clients at a
Okay.
time. And that is on a personal choice basis because I chose to start my business to help women and men too in our industry to grow and to build their skill set in sales. And some people have told me along the way I have some real talents for that kind of stuff. So I built this business to be able to do that coaching on the side, but really one of the biggest designs for my line of work was to do boot camps, to do one-on-one trainings, to actually do the work. I've never intended to try to franchise this thing, but I want to be able to have the opportunity to work with companies, smaller companies in my industry, and actually go on site and help their people and train them and be kind of like a 1099 contractor. A lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs, mom and pop shops, people who are in the service side of any industry, they can't afford these fancy consultants and trainers and people to come in and spend tens of thousands of dollars at one time on somebody who's just going to spend an hour with their people. So keeping my budgeting on a low cost basis for small businesses seems to be paying off. I am really appreciated the time that I get to spend with people, and whether it's a week, a month, or I'm just doing the coaching online, it's paying off for my clients. So I know I'm on the right track.
Very cool. Okay, so can you work with any industry?
I mean, I definitely think if the industry involves sales, absolutely. and and that opens up the door in a lot of different directions. I have had some partnerships along the way with mobile notaries. Bill Soroka, he's a big friend of mine from notarycoach.com. He's written like 12 books. He wrote the foreword in my latest book, and I've done some online classes for his following. And these are people who have to get out there and sell themselves. I think of my friends over at Shed Geek. There's a podcast who has a huge following, all for the shed industry, right? So I mean, this is crazy when you think about real estate. Like you were just saying, you're at a real estate conference. What are you selling? Not only are you selling houses, but you're also selling yourself, and you're selling relationships. And these are the things that I specialize in the most. So yes, I can branch out. Am I pushing that boundary? I learned a long time ago, it's not even just about staying in your lane, but just, go where the people who love you. And if you get a referral and you're moving outside of that boundaries, lucky you, or in my case, lucky me. But at this point, I also stick to what I know best, and it does involve, quarries and stone surfaces and materials from all over the world. And I've been really blessed.
Yeah, yeah. It was fun doing the research on you. You've gotten to travel all over and really do this. What was one of the funnest business trips that you did?
I want to say, I've been to a lot of crazy places, and I have a heart in Verona, Italy. That is one of my favorite cities and parts of the world to be in at any time. But I want to say it was probably going to Brazil with one of my clients here in Virginia. He's got a shop over in Charlottesville, and we have been friends on and off for 15 years in various capacities. And then I took the helm at a sales role during COVID, and started building, specialty clientele. And I got to take these guys over to Brazil for a personal shopping trip. And we had so much fun. It was also my birthday. It happened to be in August. And one of the quarry processors that we went to, so a producer, manufacturer of blocks, and they turn them into slabs, really high end place. And they had this cabana in the back with where the people can go and eat lunch, and they brought out a birthday cake and they sung happy birthday to me, and I got it all on Instagram. Their social media marketer at the time, we became buds. We're still buds. And I'm just, I that was just such what a great birthday.
Talk about memorable. Yeah, no doubt. Very, very
Absolutely.
cool.
Thank
So,
you.
you also talk about mentoring a lot. Is that separate from the coaching?
No, mentorship is absolutely almost a part of my coaching. For me, it's a way I give away free services. I work with so many women's organizations, namely Women in Stone, which is a part of the Natural Stone Institute. I actually today just got assigned my 2025 mentee, so hopefully she's gonna love it. And also, I'm the co-chair for women in the floor covering industry. So Wi-Fi, which is a nonprofit organization, does scholarships, just has amazing people in the floor covering industry. I'm the co-chair for the mentorship committee this year. So we just finished doing all of the pairings, and I'll have a mentee in that group as well. And I love it. It's in, one of the most special things about it is I have found that women don't know that they are capable of mentoring other people, regardless of women. Like women or men, they don't they don't even know that they have the power to make a difference in someone else's life. I have come across this in the last probably 7 years, talking to people and asking them if they'd be willing to be a mentor, and they maybe have 7 years of experience or 10 years of experience, and they don't cross the threshold. They still think that they need to be mentored. And I find that fascinating. I talked to a woman in Florida. She does commercial estimating. It was so awesome to be on the phone with her. I actually got her to sign up for a senior excellence in leadership association that Wi-Fi offers, and that's by a certified coach, Athena Walker. She's an amazing, amazing person. But with Arimar, she had 10 years of doing commercial estimating, and she's a mom. She has to manage this whole life, taking care of kids and dealing with commercial contractors, you know, and she didn't think that she could be a mentor. And I was like, Arimar, you are Latina, you are bilingual, you are strong, and I convinced her to go ahead and be a mentor for another lady in the program, and then sign up for the SEAL program, that she could get this one-on-one coaching experience with the amazing Athena, in order to grow her own personal leadership values. And I think it's just such a rewarding experience. I'm over the moon about it. I wrote a blog about it. Please, if you're listening to this and you want to read more, but I just think it's the bee's knees to help other people in a mentoring capacity.
It is the most rewarding thing you can do. And it's also, once you do it and you realize how incredible it is, you learn more by teaching than any other way. So it's also a little bit selfish. So stop thinking that you can't do it, or that, I mean, it is the best way for you to grow. Would you agree with that?
Oh my gosh. I just gave a talk in Las Vegas last week, and you know, writing all my talks and catering the message to what needs to be heard or the audience, etc. But I have case studies. A lot of the case studies that I've developed are from working with mentees and being in those situations, those one-on-one experiences. I'm just starting out. My business is only 3 years old. Like, I don't know. It's helped me tremendously. Every story is important. Every situation is important. And it's for me, it's data. It's data I can use. I write about my experiences as a mentor. I've been able to mentor women in several countries. And I wouldn't now when I show up to one of these trade shows, and like one of my mentees from Portugal or from Turkey is there, and like I get to hug this young lady, I'm only going to see them maybe once a year and see them in person. It's unbelievably rewarding.
Listen to her, ladies and gentlemen, because it really is. It's the best way for you to grow and to pass on what you know. And most people love, when you've worked hard and you've learned something, most people love to have someone that's interested enough, because you go home and you want to talk about it and your family's like, yeah, whatever.
Oh my
So
gosh.
let's get back to sales.
Yeah,
So
yeah, okay.
your whole career has been sales. How important is mental health in sales?
Well, I wrote about that in my first book for sure. It's incredibly important. I know I'm in my 40s now, so I've reached a different plateau of mental health requirements as I approach 50. But I had to make a shift for myself personally, I can say, and work-life balance became very, very important for me during COVID. I felt like a lioness locked up in a cage during COVID. It to take someone who at the time I was working for a company and as a consultant for a company in Italy, and my travel schedule was pretty hectic before COVID. I mean, 28 weeks a year. I was in foreign cities and hotels. It was a lot, and I was not taking care of my mental health. I can say that. And so then when something like COVID happens and no flying, I don't think I got a paycheck. And I say paycheck, but when you're a consultant, you got to invoice and expect somebody to wire you some money. And that didn't happen for 3 or 4 months because the company I was working with happened to be in the Lombardy region, and they were locked in their homes. There was nothing that they could do about it. So I got to say that, for me, the flashlight turned on during COVID, and I definitely wanted to make a shift in my life. And through sales, I found myself even post COVID getting into what I call the frenzy. It's it's not a how I don't think it's a healthy way to be and to live. I don't like the frenzy. I don't like the frenzy of selling. I think uh we're all capable of chasing and just trying to make things happen and trying to control. And I know for me, I've actually, gotten therapy for that. Not afraid to admit it. There are some 12-step programs out there that can really help you stop fix managing and controlling other people's lives. And I'm a product of some of that hard work. So for me, mental health is incredibly relevant. I have to set positive working hours. I have to set boundaries with clients. I like to cut it off. My days try to end at 4 o'clock. I have animals. I have dogs and a cat, and I like to walk in the woods and really step away from the phone and the computer screen and the car and the chasing and all the things. And I need that balance for myself. I think everybody needs to just try to find what that is for yourself. And it's a journey. I don't think, and plus, I don't know, Kara, what do you think? Like, do you think people in their 30s understand that?
Oh gosh, no. Well, I don't know about most people. I know I didn't. And I was just like you, a workaholic. Literally, hi, my
Alcoholic.
name is Kara. I'm a workaholic, and it's so backwards. And I'm with you. I'm a little bit senior. I'm not going to go into my age, but
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I've been on this earth a little bit longer, and it is the frenzy. I love the word, the way you use that. So let's say someone does have that frenzy right now, and they're like, no, 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 I don't have time. I can't go to your play. I can't go to this. I'm not going to be home for dinner. I've got this big client coming in. I'm da 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 da. What would be the first step for them? They can't even see that what they're doing is wrong. What would
Yeah.
be the first step to help them back out and take a moment?
Well, my helpers have taught me that the first step's surrendering and recognizing that you have a problem. But, you know, to what degree? Because without realizing yourself that you want to change, I don't think anything's gonna change ever. So there has to be a want and a will for to do something different. And in correlation with that, one of the things that made a huge difference in my life is I stopped using the phrase I don't have time. I mean, and I mean literally, Kara. I stopped, and it takes 21 days to form a habit. There's like a whole science and psychology behind changing your mechanisms. And literally, if that sentence was going to come out of my mouth, I had to stop. And I changed the phrase to I haven't made time.
Yes, be real. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because
So
when you're
that
saying to your brain, I don't have time, what's actually happening?
You're creating frenzy. You're actually frenzying yourself to try to scramble and find the time. It's weird, that psychological shift from what you can say to yourself that would change your mental focus completely. So by shifting and saying, I haven't made the time, something in my brain goes off and says, am I willing to make the time? Can I make the time? Am I going to make the time? So things that aren't of importance begin to fall away. That could be people, places, and things people I used to associate with, time that I would spend in certain activities. Maybe that had to shift, and I had to prioritize my mental health. And it took a long road that I'm still on to learn what things give me energy and what things suck energy away from me. A wise woman, I think she's now in Colorado, that I met along this journey, Tara, used to tell me that I needed to treat my energy like a bank account, deposits and withdrawals. And what in life gives me those energy deposits and what takes it away? I don't, are you, do you consider yourself to be an introvert or an extrovert? What are you, do you
I'm an
think?
introvert.
You're an introvert. Yeah. I'm actually an ambivert. I'm
What is
right.
that?
An ambivert is right in the middle. It's somebody who's 49-51, just like our political system, right in the middle where it's introverted and extroverted combined. And when you are both of those things, you need people to get energy at times, but you also need alone time. You also need that solace and that time away from the world to get energy. So it's a tricky, fun balance to pay attention to my body and recognize when I have to step away from the crowds and step away from the people and maybe just be with my dogs in the woods. Um, so I think finding that, if you can want to take the time to find out what gives you energy and what takes your energy away from you, it's the next step. Maybe that's your action step that you can take after you've decided you want to change. And just identifying those things is huge, huge movement forward.
Absolutely. So, Allison, let's give somebody practical ways to, like, just a basic, okay, I'm hearing what she's saying. I agree. How do I figure out what gives me and what gives me energy, what takes energy?
Well, I'm a big fan of writing things down. And I actually teach classes about mind mapping and visualization techniques for business. I use those practices in both my business and my personal life. So, I mean, a good old fashioned pro and con list, right? A good old fashioned good and bad list would be a great place to start by just thinking and paying attention. So, you don't have to do it all at one time, but if you start the list, you put it on your kitchen table, and then over the course of the week, just pay attention, paying attention, saying like, "Oh my gosh, I feel exhausted. What did I just do? What what just zapped me?" It took me to a different place, and write that down. Right, and then the same thing, considering what brings you joy. Where do you find, like, where do you all of a sudden, you come out of the gym, right? If I go to a hip hop dance class, I am smiling the whole time, and when I'm out of there, I might be tired, but at the same time, I am mentally clear and crisp. And I need to do those types of activities if I want to build back some of that um, mental energy that has been zapped from hours and hours of computer work or whatever.
Okay. Okay. That being present, like really paying attention, that
Be-
is a
don't know, being present is so hard.
It's it's so rewarding too. I'm not saying it's not hard. I am not. However, if you can use breath work, it really helps you get centered and get present. Just a real quick, box breathe 3 or 4 times. Just 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold, 4 in. It is amazing how centering that can be. And it is hard.
I'm not down in it. What I'm saying is I bet your listeners are probably accustomed to being present. I think the rest of the, I mean, a lot of the world, and myself included, it's hard. It's, you know, if you're a mom, if you are running a business, or if you are financially insecure for the moment, which, as a business owner, that happens all the time. I mean, I have to really pay attention to my brain because my brain is the problem. And I got to reel it back in to do the presence. And breath work is great, but like, who remembers to do that?
It's a muscle, my girl. It's a muscle. It's just like everything else. Like the fact that you go to hip hop and that centers you, right? Because you can't be thinking about anything else. If you're
Yeah,
skiing down a mountain, you're not thinking about your bills. You're thinking about, oh my God, I got to miss that tree and I hope there's not a bear behind me, right?
all right.
It's fun. So can you share some insight from some of your books?
Oh gosh. Well, sure. So, I mean, I think the inspiration for me is just writing a book, right? I think that was huge. And I think it was such a monumental task that I didn't think I could do. But I went to a school. I went to a writing, publish your book school. There's a million of those online now, but I'll give a little plug to self-publishing school. He's a really great guy from North Carolina who started this school, and they helped me through that whole process. And the cost associated actually was all of the publishing costs of what it was going to take to get that book to market. And it was the best investment I ever made. So I'll say that first. My first book was called The Art of Selling. We Make Order Makers, Not Order Takers, which is a long title, but I've actually trademarked that motto. We make order makers, not order takers. And that came from a buddy of mine who he was my manager, which is just funny because we were the same age, we had the same amount of experience, but I came on board with a company where he was the boss. And he used to, I mean, he didn't have to boss me around. But that's what he said. That's what he called me. He called me his order maker. I was his rainmaker. And he said, gosh, if we could just get rid of all these order takers, I need everybody to be an order maker. So I got to give credit to Robert because that was his idea. But I do think that it's just a quality of selling, a quantitative effort of networking and relationship building. And the whole first book is basically written for sales reps. If you were maybe getting into real estate, or if you are starting out as someone who's in a showroom or in a sales position, maybe it's door to door. I don't know. What do the kids do these days? It's not all on TikTok. But
Hmm.
I think that book it was written for the sales rep. Then my second book, Beyond Order Makers, came out this past November, and it's just I'm so proud of it, honestly, because I wrote from the heart of what it's like to be a small person entrepreneur trying to start a business. And I threw in all of the target marketing and marketing skills that I've developed over the years, how important it is to really clean up your brand avatar, understanding, who are you talking to, what kind of advertising are you doing. Social media is a nightmare. And trying to navigate the channels and what to do, and creating that brand strategy is everything, and creating a target market and following that path, that one narrow path, that clear and precise customer who you love and you want to serve, and is exactly who you wish would walk in the door every single day. If you can create a path towards that customer, then you're really on your way to selling without actually being salesy. So that's probably sections 1 and 2 in a nutshell of that book. And then section 3 is back to more and more about prioritization and time management and just the human centric aspects of what it takes to be better. Just be better at managing your time, having work life balance, finding the training that you might need to help you gain a different skill set. I mean, now it's all about AI, and where do we find the time to even train ourselves for that, right? So, I I'm super I'm super proud of the work, and I put an index in the second book. Okay, so that was fun, and I used a computer programming software that helped me. I still had to do a lot of manual effort to do the index, but I did have some help with some more software. And so that way, you don't have to read through the whole thing. You can just even scan through the index and find some part and go in and read it. And I think it would be an excellent tool for anybody who wants to be in business for themselves.
Beautiful a sales library basically in one book where it's a reference book. You pull it
Thanks.
down, you look for what you need, and you go out and you do it, because success leaves clues. Literally, anyone who is really successful at anything has multiple coaches, or has read
You
multiple books, or has
damn
gone to
right.
school. Yeah.
We've
Yes,
all
ma'am.
had help.
Oh my gosh, yes. So much. I mean, there's anyone who has risen to any level has done it on the shoulders of the people before them. That's just the way it is. R&D. Have you heard of R&D?
Of course, I was in fashion. Yes. Research and
Yes.
development, sister. Research
Uh,
and development.
Actually, rip off and duplicate.
Oh,
Rip off and
okay.
duplicate. Yeah, rip off and duplicate. Like, that's the truth. It's there's nothing new under the sun. Someone has already done it. Model what they did, and you'll get what they got for the most part. There's
Yes.
exceptions. So,
Yes.
what have I not asked you that I should have asked you, Allison?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was thinking, I love to tell people where I'm from, originally. And I love to talk about like some of my family history there. So, I live in Richmond, Virginia. And I come from Appalachia. I come from a small town in Southwest Virginia, very much unknown. So when people think of the state of Virginia, a lot of us think that they only think about the top part near Washington, D.C., and that the whole rest of the state doesn't even matter. And then maybe they'll consider Virginia Beach, which is over on the coast, which is also a lot of fun. But there's this whole other side of the state. It's coal mining country. So I am the granddaughter of a coal miner and the daughter of a school teacher and a lawyer. And went to a high school with only, 155 kids in my class. And then I've managed to start a career in New York City, end a career in New York City, and then somehow managed to make my way into construction materials and natural stone. So it's been a wild ride, but I just love to throw that in there because you know we Appalachians, we're different people, but we're hard workers. We are hard workers.
Yeah, success leaves clues. There you go. Same thing, farmers, military people, people that are trained to work. And that also can be a curse, because sometimes you end up being a workaholic. Um,
No.
no, that couldn't happen. No. Okay, so you talk an awful lot about personal development. So give our folks some books, some podcast things that would help their mental diet.
Oh my gosh, you're throwing me off guard. So, one of my favorite books that really helped me expand on some of my content was Primal Leadership with Daniel Goldsman. I just heard about a new one yesterday, which is talking about like the gold line. But I am not the best at the reading. So for me, I grew up reading Harry Potter. And I follow as many leaders as I can through marketing channels and through Instagram. And one of my favorite coaches is Katie White with Strong Brand Social. If anybody is looking for the art of doing a brand strategy, but besides the encompassing facts that are in my book, man, she's got some online classes that will change your life. So I strongly encourage people to go out and look for Strong Brand Social. That's her company, and she's got liaisons between teaching people about how to backlink and all the different aspects of building a website. It's an amazing resource circle for those people. And she hasn't written any books, unfortunately. I think I already mentioned Bill Soroka, who's a notary coach. I love his work. He's such a realist with his people. He's got huge following of entrepreneurs and small businesses. And so any one of his books would be a fabulous read for somebody who's just trying to pick up, maybe even just start a side hustle, because I don't know if anybody knows, but like to become a notary, you can keep your full-time job. You can keep doing what you're doing elsewhere in the world, and then you've got this extra money revenue stream that you can do on the side. And Bill's the one to tell you how to set all that up. So I hope that helps.
Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful information. And the thing is, you're a very successful woman. It doesn't matter. That's the thing that I don't think people realize. The top of the mountain is here, and you're starting here. You can go this way to get there. You can go that way to get there. It doesn't matter how you get there, but we all can learn from each other's ways, in my opinion.
A
So
thousand percent.
the last question that we ask everybody, because you are on Think Your Way to an Epic Life, what are some tips or tricks that you can give our folks so that they can think their way to their own epic life?
Oh my gosh. So number one is, I think this may or may not hurt your audience. I hope not, but pray about it. Think about it, pray about it. And really, whatever you pray to, it doesn't matter. They all fall under a lot of different names. But I firmly believe that if you want to think your way into a better life, is to get inside and find that spiritual guide, whatever that is for you in your life, and think about it that way. And your spiritual guide will help you get that down on paper. That's what worked for me when I wanted to change and to move. It was really asking for help from the universe and getting it all down on paper. So that's my number one.
Beautiful advice, Alison. Thank you. And thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with our folks. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We really appreciate it. And guys, if you want any of her books or if you want to check on any of that stuff, you can get it in the show notes underneath.
Thank you very much, Kara. I enjoyed it.
Me too.